Today, David takes on Goliath yet again, but this time Goliath happens to be named Aspas. Hello and welcome to Week 5 of VCT Americas. Of course, we're coming to you live, as always, from the Riot Games Arena in Los Angeles, California. Golden Boy here, finishing off the week strong with Mimi and Sean Gares. Sean, you've been with us all week. You feeling tired yet?
I'm feeling like my brain is just confused after what we ended yesterday on, like EG beating Leviathan. Honestly, I'm confused. We might see some craziness today.
Maybe. Possibly. Possible.
We'll see. But speaking of that, though, let's actually go ahead and talk about what went down on this stage yesterday. Because first off, we had that NA Clout match. It's going to be between Sentinels and Cloud9. We were expecting a lot out of this game. I think a lot of us, Mimi, were excited to see what this new invigorated Sentinels could bring to the table, but Cloud9 had other plans.
Cloud9 is looking incredible. Currently, their only loss is to Loud. They've defeated every single North American team 2-0. I mean, they are the real deal. Their defensive sides throughout this series were fantastic. The way that they rotate off their initiator utility seems perfection. And Sentinels, they were just like walking into a stack every single time. It was really a brutal game for them.
It was so brutal for Sentinels, but like you're saying, Cloud9 just continues to impress me. Their game plans, the way they approach these rounds, look at the util usage. It's almost like you're watching a Fnatic-esque team, right? They're not running the Harbor Viper as much as some of these other NA teams at the top, but they're having success using older comps and using the util to perfection.
And beyond just those older comps, they're coming out with new stuff as well. Their Neon Sky comp on Lotus, well, one other team, and Foot plays that as well. They're fantastic at it. Same with the Viper on Ascent. This team can innovate. And also they're like optimizing the little things for such a new team, like focusing on ult orbs, managing their economy super well, winning so many ecos. They just look unstoppable right now.
It really, over on Cloud9, it truly is like the best of the best for them right now. You couldn't have asked for a better split than C9 has had. But then we flip it over to our other game, and that was EG going up against Leviathan. And now this one was unique because for EG, we were just waiting for that moment, Sean, that moment that EG would finally close out the series. And it just so happened to be against one of the better teams in the league, Leviathan.
Yeah, you couldn't have said it better. They exercised their Demon 1s right here. They finally got the map 3 win against one of these S-tier opponents in Americas. They've been competing week in and week out, taking Loud to 3 maps, Fury to 3 maps, but then getting blown out on the 3rd map. This was the first time we've seen EG piece it all together and close out strong. What a day for EG.
Yeah.
It's impressive as well, because those last 2 matches you mentioned, they were very reliant on having a fantastic initial game plan, a perfect read of their opponent. In this one, it was a lot more of EG adapting and exploiting their opponent's mistakes, which is pretty tough to do against a team like Leviathan. So huge props to EG, but for the side of Leviathan, this throws their whole season into a loop. We thought they were a shoo-in for playoffs, and now they have a really hard strength of schedule, and there's a chance they could maybe not even make playoffs. They're on the ropes.
Right now, midpoint, pretty much across all of VCT right now, you're seeing some real interesting things kind of take shape. And, let's go ahead and look at the standings and reflect on what Mimi was just talking about, because you're right, everything is in flux now. Leviathan, they're going to be in 4th, sitting at 3-3, but Evil Geniuses with that win at 2-4, they still have a chance. It is important to note, Cloud and Cloud9 have clinched playoffs, so they are in, they're good. Now we see who else is going to join them. There are 4 spots left, Mimi.
But mathematically, no one else is eliminated yet. For KRU, they're kind of reliant on a bunch of weird conditions beyond just their own success, so it's very hard for them. But for all those teams in the middle of the pack, from Furia down to EG, there is a chance of making things. So this week and next week are so important for these squads to clinch those spots, as they've already narrowed down to just 4.
Yeah, and like I said, only these top 2 teams have clinched spots, right? The 2 teams with the letters LOUD in their name. Like, I guess that's like the one thing that's required to clinch playoffs at this point. Every other team can still make playoffs. KRU can still make playoffs. They just have to win out and beat Loud today.
Yeah, but they have to beat Loud today.
Yeah,
and that's a team that's 5-0 right now. So it's going to be a tough road. It would have to be a miracle, really.
Do you want to talk about Loud? We should talk about Loud. Let's go ahead and talk about Loud. Get straight into today's matchup. Talk Loud. Now, here's the thing. Barring any unforeseen circumstances or potential kaiju attacks or Dwayne Johnson needing to save us from the San Andreas fault line, I think this team will be perfectly fine making the playoffs. However, they haven't been without a few scratches along the way, Mimi.
This guy calls The Rock Dwayne Johnson. He knows him like that.
Well, you know, I figured
guys are
the
tight.
kids may
like
not
that?
know, you know, so I wanted to inform them.
Yeah, they know each other. They like call every night. It's really, it's really close. But yeah,
hate you.
Loud have looked incredible. 5-0 on the season thus far. But what's interesting is their last few games have been very close. They've been taken to map threes a lot. But let's talk about the history of this squad, because they've only ever beaten or lost to 3 teams: Fnatic, Optic, and number 3 might be a surprise,
No
but it was
way.
KRU at Copenhagen.
How insane is that this team's only lost to 3 teams ever?
That is nuts.
That is actually insane.
Yeah, and when you also put into context as well with Loud, I mean, this version of Loud that has Cowanzine and Tui's, the only loss that they really held as that core 5 was really against Fnatic, and then that was it, right?
Yeah,
So
it's wild. Loud is pretty much flawless with this new roster, except for the grand finals
that's it.
at Lock-In.
And oh, what a blemish.
Yeah,
You
oh
know?
no, we lost in a 5th map against Fnatic. Really Loud is on the path to make a flawless run in groups. I think that's a hope for this team. Excellence has been expected of them from themselves and of the fans, and continuing through, taking a dominant win today to make up for those series where they lost a map, where a team they probably shouldn't have, is going to be their goal.
Yeah, we've seen Loud kind of let their foot off the gas in a couple of these series, but they always bounce back and close out the series super strong, right?
Yeah.
That EG series, that first map, it didn't really look or feel like Loud, but then by the time we hit the 3rd map, they're 13-0ing EG. You know, that's the Loud that we're expecting today, but I don't know if they can rise to the occasion. I actually think the fact that KRU beat them in the past doesn't help them. It actually hurts them. It might make Loud come up to the occasion versus a winless KRU.
And if anything, for me, the losses also still show me how damn good Loud is, because they can take a loss. They got dominated in the first 2 maps for both of their Super Week games, 13-3 and 13-6, I believe, and they rallied back, won map 2 and 3 in really strong fashion. This is a team where when they lose, when they're struggling, they get mad, and they fix those issues really quickly.
Yeah, and also they have a lot of leaders on the team, whether it's Coach Fraud, you know, in the back line, like keeping them in line, or the next person we're going to talk about, Sadak, because this is the guy who, you know, as the IGL, as a person who brings so much to this team, just as a leader, but then he brings it in game as well, Sean, and that is a scary combination.
Yeah, it's super scary.
Flexibility is nuts, too.
The fact that you have your IGL able to lock in this raise on double duelist comps. Also, obviously, you know, they're one of the first teams that ran the Harbor Viper, and they're the best at it. They are the best in the world at running the Harbor Viper. They were running the Gecko with this guy running the Gecko. He is so diverse in what he can do and how he calls for this team. And not only, you know, using util, but having impact in a duelist role like Raze.
I love that he's the guy that can be flexible too,
Yeah.
because it means the rest of his team can play to their comfort roles. He's really positioned the rest of his squad, who are all super young players, into positions where they can succeed. Les is consistently on that lurk role where he's great. Ospas is always on the jet. Tui's and Cowanzine both get roles they make sense. He's a guy who's willing to sacrifice his own individual performance and play a role he might be slightly less comfortable about to further the game plan of the squad.
Yeah.
And I think that's a testament to his leadership.
Yeah,
I think his leadership is next level good, because when I watch Loud, he's capable of having the game be very strategic, or he's capable of taking the gloves off of his team, like that EG 3rd map, and say, hey, we just need to play a little bit more loose, we need to trust our aim, and they can play mechanically. And that is a very hard decision to make as an in-game leader.
Yeah, it's so impressive to see what he brings to the team, Sadak, and really their opponents are going to have their work cut out for them. Because let's go ahead and move on, though, because the headline for this team is very, very simple. KRU needs a win. Plain and simple, Mimi. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If they get a win here, they are still competitive, but as you had mentioned, shenanigans need to happen in order for them to make the playoff spot.
Yeah, it's already out of their hands, but I'm sure even just beyond hopes of playoffs, this team wants a win to regain confidence, to revitalize, because they're a squad that in the past have taken some big upsets, like that game they took off Loud, a squad that has been able to play really close against top teams, and we've even seen that in Americas. They've played quite a few close series. They've always been a step away from getting a win, and it's always escaped them.
It seems oh so similar to what we thought of EG before yesterday, right? They just couldn't close out these games. There was so many series where they had leads deep into the second map even. You go back to that 100 Thieves series.
I mean, look at this.
We were watching 100 Thieves. They were up one map and up 8-0 on split, and they lost this series. I mean, there's some heartbreaking losses this season for KRU, and today it's obviously not going to get any easier, but I don't think it's an individual skill thing. I don't even think it's a big picture thing. It's the little teamwork things that keep slipping through the fingers of KRU late in these games.
It's the pressure that seems to get to them. When it gets later in these series, these close games that they have a chance of winning, you see 2-1s versus MIBR, EG, 100 Thieves, even that NRG and Furia series. They had moments where they could have taken a map.
Yeah.
But when the pressure gets on, this team starts making unforced errors. You saw versus NRG, Kesnet constantly pushing down long alone, getting punished by that squad.
Yeah.
Someone making a swing on their own, a missed piece of utility. It's the little things that lose this team rounds, and then it seems like they spiral, and it snowballs out of control off of that.
Yeah, and you saw there the strength of schedule for KRU. It's not going to get easier.
They have to win every single one of those.
They have to win every single one of those, and they got to play Loud, Sentinels, Leviathan, and I think NRG, or I could be trolling.
Already played NRG.
Oh, yeah, so never mind.
The rest
trolling.
of the team's still so very hard.
Yeah, pretty much. It's going to be difficult, but you may have noticed something as well on the big old wall that we have up here, that there was a roster change today because Davies, unfortunately, is going to be out with an injury. We hope he gets better, and Shetty will be coming in to sub. Now, you may remember Shetty. I think history, my brain might be a little foggy here, but I'm almost certain he was in lock-in with his KRU team and when Kesnet was on Leviathan.
Before Kesnet got picked up, he was the guy playing on this roster, and he was solid. He previously used to play the controller role when they were playing some of the off-season events, but for lock-in, he was slotting into that flash initiator flex role, similar to what Davies was playing on the roster. So it's a guy who's played with them before, is a strong individual, plays the same roles. It sucks that you have to sub someone out, but this is kind of a best-case scenario for a substitution.
It is the best case scenario because he's played with the team, but Davey was a vocal leader within this team, and obviously he's had a lot of impact in these games that they've played. I actually think he's probably one of their best players in the server. So how can he, replace such an impactful player in this KRU lineup? That's what we have to be on the lookout for today.
Yeah. I'm very much looking forward to seeing what Shetty brings to the table here in this matchup. But what a time to have to sub in a do-or-die situation for KRU. And earlier we did speak with Klaus about the 0-5 record and, of course, the struggles that KRU have been dealing with heading into today's matchup and the split.
Yo creo que lo que más estamos sufriendo ahora mismo es lo que es el mental adentro del juego, o sea, el mental arriba del stage. Yo creo que nos está yendo muy bien como equipo en las prácticas, pero lamentablemente no podemos pasar eso al stage y cada vez se va haciendo más difícil porque va siendo una racha más negativa de Lost y nada, eso. Pero bueno, yo creo que va todo a su tiempo y ya se va a dar el momento para nosotros y estoy seguro que va a ser un buen momento. Siempre hay una mala etapa.
Yeah, and I do have to applaud the maturity there because you do recognize, like, when you hit that losing streak, Mimi, and you keep losing, it's really, really difficult to just take yourself out of that rut.
It's brutal, right? 5 matches in a row where you've lost, 5 moments where you've had a chance to get a map, to play close, and it slipped away from you. That's such a hard rut to get out of. But I almost wonder if the substitution today can help them get out of that, because it's kind of a reset switch. You're already 0-5. You're probably not going to make playoffs. You have all these factors facing against you. Maybe you just let loose, play a different game, try and reset the mental a little bit.
I kind of thought they went that way against NRG last week, and it just did not work out for them at all. They actually looked like they regressed a little bit against NRG, but looking at NRG this week, maybe, NRG just kind of is peaking all of a sudden, so maybe that wasn't KRU falling down and NRG rising.
That's true. That's very true. Now, of course, for more on the issues that we have, I believe our dear friend and top-tier analyst, Sean over here, is going to break some things down. What you have for us, buddy?
Yeah, sure. So I wanted to compare a little bit of split here and how Kesnet approaches this A site and how Aspas approaches this A site. So right off the start, you can see this is the standard Viper wall that we're seeing over here at this A site. Just the denying information from the A player. But look at the angle that Kesnet is holding. The problem with this is that people could peek him from either side. This is a lot of variance that the Opera is choosing to have on KRU, right? And as we progress through this round, you can see actually the vent split is starting to come in. And instead of actually rotating to kind of, man heaven and defend the heaven position, Kesnet actually opts to move into the elbow position and take a very difficult shot into heaven. He's gonna have to take this shot, ends up missing, he falls back into screens, and the site is lost. The Viper's Pit happens, and literally the round is over before KRU could ever even have a chance to win it. It's just a positioning type of thing that Kesnet did wrong here. Now, when I go into Aspas, what you're gonna notice is, right away, he is facing the same exact Viper wall that we just saw. The difference is that Aspas wants a shot first. Before you come through the Viper wall, he wants to get the information using this get out of jail free card. So he takes his shot and he misses. This isn't the best round of Aspas's life. He immediately holds on to this man, and he's aware that they could be heaven. And if you look at radar right now, you're gonna notice Astra too. He's rotating into the A site to pick up heaven. Les is actually in vents, and he's gonna get caught. This is, again, not a great round for Loud, but it just shows how they can adjust on the fly, and the things that Aspas is doing are so safe, but also so aggressive simultaneously. Because still at this moment, you can see Tui's is holding his heaven, and Aspas is kind of just floating around. And eventually he's gonna feel, okay, we gotta go into heaven and start holding this heaven push. This is a key difference between Aspas and Kesnet on these rounds approaching the A site. The reposition into heaven right here, and Aspas is way ahead of this hit, steps in front of the smoke, wall bangs that player, and this is just next level awareness. The Seekers are popped, he pulls out the shorty, breaks his Seeker and his teammate's Seeker, and prevents someone from pushing into the smoke because he has a shorty. He's like fear tacticking them. He pops Seekers, runs out towards the screen smoke, waits for his teammates to position, and when this smoke fades, he ends up getting the kill on Rafters and actually ends up updrafting into the elbow. And in my opinion, this is actually a really good play by Aspas, even though it doesn't work out, because the Sky Flash you're gonna see on the minimap is supposed to be coming in for the next corner. This is just so much awareness by Aspas and working with his teammates, and I'm missing that a lot when I watch Kesnet. So that's the key things that I think are missing when you look at KRU, is they're just not working together. It's 5 people playing their own game. And you see it a lot when you watch the teams in the lower end of VCT versus the teams in the upper echelons.
That's what's so impressive to me.
Excellent breakdown, by the way.
Is how quickly they're able to react when Aspas is changing to a new position. Someone will always be there to instantly pick up the gap. They give him so much freedom for that flexibility to always be on a new position on defense. And KRU tries to give the same freedom to Kesnet, but they're just not quite there in filling in those gaps.
I also, you got to give credit to the team that's behind Aspas there, right? Because that's you're drilling that in, right? You're telling him, go for this, take this space, you can do it, because it's Aspas.
Their whole game plan on a map like Split is around his anchoring on the A site.
Yeah, it's incredible.
This is why people give too much credit to IGLs, too much credit to coaches, because truly the comms are coming from the Aspas and the player next to Aspas, or Kesnet and the player next to Kesnet. Those micro communications are so important, and they're clearly missing on KRU. I don't know if it's Kesnet or the player next to him, or I don't know if it's Aspas or Tui's that made that comm, but one of them did.
It goes back to the thing you're bringing up, where KRU, it seems like they have solid ideas sometimes with the macro, but it's those little micro communications and setups specifically on sites or during an execute that cause them so much trouble.
Excellent breakdown, by the way, Sean. Thank you so much for that. Now, let's actually go ahead, though, and hear from Aspas as well as Les, Despite being heavily favored in this matchup, I think Loud fans should take solace in knowing that they're taking this matchup incredibly seriously.
Nosso próximo jogo vai ser contra a KRU, né? É time que tá mais abaixo na tabela, mas mesmo assim tem vindo tirando mapas.
And for KRU, this has been momentous. Great beginning to their series, and with that one finalized, wrapping it up 13-4 being the scoreline.
Porque eles treinavam lá no server, a gente já treinou muitas vezes contra eles, eles só treinavam basicamente com os times do Brasil, então a gente tem que ter cuidado com o fato que eles já conhecem como a gente joga. Há muito tempo atrás lá, né, a gente perdeu para eles na Dinamarca.
Me acuerdo cuando jugamos contra el Aure, ganamos 2-0, 2-1, no me acuerdo bien.
Well, even as they go for the plan, it's just all falling apart. KRU, they've always been the team of upsets.
Y bueno, está siempre esa rivalidad entre nosotros y los equipos brasileños, que es normal y va a estar bastante bueno, yo creo.
Eu acho que a gente está bem confiante, mas mesmo assim a gente ainda tem muita coisa para arrumar e a gente está usando essa fase de grupos para arrumar esses erros e chegar mais forte para o playoff. Então, basicamente, agora a gente vai continuar no foco, se preparando e tudo, e também focando bastante em conseguir melhorar as coisas para os playoffs.
Despite the fact that they're undefeated, despite the fact that everyone in this league fears them, they still feel like they have more work to do. That is the making of a champion right there.
It is. The last point from Ospas especially about the fact that really, if anything, they've been disappointed in their last few results, that they want to use this as an opportunity to learn and improve. It speaks a lot to the mentality of this team.
I strive to have like half of that work ethic. Like, that's actually insane.
Yeah.
Can you imagine having these guys' record and still feeling like you can do better or that you can do more?
When I competed decades ago, you know, I was working a 9-to-5 job, working at a restaurant, and trying my hardest. And these guys, they have taken it to another level. You know, they truly have, and it's genuinely impressive to see. But also for KRU, I hope that they're not leaning on that, you know, LATAM Brazilian rivalry magic, and instead actually have some protocols to try and win this one, Mimi.
I'm sure they will. I imagine when you are down like that, in a way, it can be an inspiration to do better, to really want to practice, because these players have experienced winning before. This is not what they want. This is not what they expect of themselves.
I do fear, though, because, you know, they probably realize that if they lose this game, they're out of playoffs. So if they're down a map, if they're down on the second map, is there a sense of quit in them?
Yeah.
Because if that happens, if there's blood in the water against Loud, it is over. GG. So KRU cannot give up today, and they have to give it their all.
And that's what Klaus was talking about, the fact that the mental has been slowly spiraling downward and downward with these losses. This is the moment where they really need a reset.
Yeah, that's right. This is it, folks. But of course, our last match of the week is going to be coming up in a little bit, and we need to tackle it in a very different and unique way. You know, there was some snaps, maybe some berets. I don't know. It's going to be Poetry Night. That's right. And that's going to be coming up next when VCT Americas continues. You do not want to miss it. Trust me.
Leva o primeiro carro, assim! The waterfall straight into the sightline of Klaus.
We spend so much time talking about stats and standings like a couple Stevens, and it's all data, numbers, ones and zeros, but we're not sharing how we feel about these teams and players. That needs to change. So let's go ahead and get in touch with the analyst desk inside each and every one of us and speak from the soul. That's right. First up at the mic, let's go ahead and welcome Mimi, as she has prepared something about loud.
Thank you. I prepared a poem about my absolute favorite team, Loud. It took a lot out of me to write this, so I appreciate all of you listening today. It's about their name and what it means to each and every one of us. L is for logical. Their decisions are good in the fray. O, it's for optimum, the best in the league. U, it's for unity, coordinated in their play. D, it's for discoverer. Their ideas draw intrigue. Thank you. This team means a lot to me, and I appreciate you all listening to me. Thank you, Skibbity Bebop.
Wow, unreal. Of course, big shout out to Skippity Bebop on the bongos, right? Can we get some love for Skippity? That's right. Now, thank you so much, Sister Mimi, for bearing your soul for all of us. Now, next up, it's my boy Sean, and he's going to look inside and tell everyone about what their heart says regarding KRU.
Yeah, thank you, GB. Been feeling a little sad lately. And vibe checks in the chat. Thank you. Pink slowly fades to gray. Groupium tanks depleting. No wins with Loud next. Sag.
Give it up one more time for Brother Sean. Of course, my gratitude to both Sean and Mimi for sharing, and let's go ahead and take a quick break. Also love for Skippity Bebop here as well. All right, guys. Now we need you to get in touch with your feelings and regroup, as well as recharge. And if this pause inspires you to compose a poem of your own, send it to us with the hashtags VCT Americas or VCT. We'd love to share them. We'll be right back. And now that everyone has centered themselves and finds that positive Zen energy, and also play some bongos. Welcome back, everyone. Now, of course, we're running out of time here, so we're going to keep this one nice and short. Let's do some predictions. Sean, start first. Who do you think's winning this game? I'm so shocked.
The play sign.
The play sign is winning.
Yeah.
Mimi, the play.
Doing the L.
She's doing
Hand
the
up
L.
to the Brazilian fans.
And I
God's
will
gonna win.
also be joining it, but I'm also going to say a little Vamos Brazil, you know, because I like you guys.
Also
you
gonna
guys are
pander to
awesome.
the fans. Good work.
Yes, I am a
Strong
panderer,
work.
a professional panderer. That is actually what a host does.
that
I
on
think
your
I like.
LinkedIn?
Yeah, you think I know anything? Come on, guys.
I didn't think that.
Folks, this is it. We're all set to kick off the last day, by the way, of Week 5. And of course, we're going to have ourselves quite the matchup. It's going to be Loud facing off against KRU, one of the only 3 teams that has beaten them. Folks, VCT Americas starts right now. This stream contains fast-flashing images that may affect viewers who are susceptible to photosensitive epilepsy or other photosensitivities. Viewer discretion is advised. Everyone was talking about him, and this is going to be the guy to look out for.
Too much Cryo again. Does this guy miss? Does Cryo ever miss? No, he doesn't.
Olha, Zé, escala bem, faz duplo abate, vamos, Fogão!
Se acaba tempo e leva!
Eu acho que nesse jogo contra a KRU a gente tem que ter cuidado que eles conhecem bastante o estilo de jogo brasileiro.
He's got that consistency, yet KRU have swarmed. Fights being won all over the place. That's Klaus coming up massive.
Eles acabaram de ganhar de um Stomp em um mapa da Chiefs, que é um time que tá vindo muito forte também.
Want util to clear, Paranoia wading right through, Versus still alive! And for KRU, this has been momentous. Great beginning to their series, and with that one finalized, wrapping it up 13-4 being the scoreline.
Va a ser un partido interesante porque ya nos conocemos bastante, jugamos mucho en el pasado contra ellos.
And time is starting to become once more an issue. Dash Force rifle upgrade, no way!
Here's a fast B hit.
Oh, they are just being chunked out all the way through. Kawazin spamming it through into the grinder.
Y bueno, está siempre esa rivalidad entre nosotros y los equipos brasileños, que es normal y va a estar bastante bueno, yo creo.
We oftentimes talk about David versus Goliath matchups, but none more so than this. At the top of the mountain rests Brazil's finest. It's Loud, and on the other side, it's a hopeful Latin American squad looking to pull off the upset of the year. It's KRU. Let's get into this one as the teams are huddling up and getting ready to go. This is going to be an exciting one for a variety of reasons because we get to see how much KRU has kind of prepped and got ready and incorporated Shetty into the lineup, but also what's Loud going to bring to the table today?
It's a big question. You look at this one, you think 5-0 versus 0-5. It's a clear outcome, and that's probably the case, but there's a lot of implications behind this. KRU's playoff hopes staying alive off this. Loud looking to rebound from a tough Super Week where they dropped 2 maps to 2 teams that they weren't expected to. For Loud, this should be a show of force, if anything. And for KRU at this point, they have nothing to lose.
Yeah, it should be a show of force for Loud, but the one thing that's a curveball here is Bind being added into the pool, Icebox being removed. And while on the surface it looks like that might help Loud, we just don't know, right? We don't know if Crew has tricks up their sleeve for Bind, or if they've done more prep work knowing that Loud won't pick Bind. And where does Loud go with the map pool? There's a little spoiler right there, actually.
Well, map select's on, so come on, Sean.
I wonder what map 1's going to be.
Well, let's see.
That is not going to be Pearl.
Let's see what these first bans are.
Yeah, let's talk about the bans though, because for Crew, they've been banning Icebox throughout the season thus far. We saw EG used to do that. They switched over to banning Bind. Will Crew follow in those footsteps, or instead, they'll get rid of Lotus,
Bind's
a
still
map
up.
where they struggled to find an answer. They played this weird double duelist comp, and then Gecko, and Loudies look solid on it, so I like that ban for him.
No way, Pearl first? Who would have
That's
saw that
crazy.
coming?
Yeah, and this is just, I don't know, it's just Loud's home map. I feel like they are so good on the Harbor Viper on Pearl. Ospas looks so comfy on the Jet. But Crew picking Ascent, we knew we had to come here at some point.
Yeah, Heineken 0.0 Ascent.
Thank you,
for
Sean.
this
So, yeah,
one.
thank you, Mimi.
We
Sean,
gotta say
come on.
that in the
The
future.
Heineken
Step it up.
0.0, that's fact.
Ascent. Heineken 0.0 Ascent. You gotta say it like 5
Can you
times
say it,
fast.
please?
Heineken 0.0 Ascent.
There
Thank
go.
you. Crew picks Heineken 0.0 Ascent a lot. They've picked it almost every series in Americas thus far, and they have kind of an all right record on it. It's been win here, loss here, but generally it's comfortable for them. But Loud is great there too, and talk of good maps for Loud, the third goes to Split, which has been Loud's most played map, I'm pretty sure, since Lock-In. They have loved their double duelist comp on Split.
A lot of overlap between these two teams. I'm not gonna lie, I think these maps are pretty good for Crew. If they had to pick the maps, they might have just picked these three.
Yeah, this, look, and right into the Agent Select we go. I mean, I don't want to sugarcoat it, right? Like, Crew's coming into this one with just so much work that needs to be done.
Yeah.
And I agree with what you said, Mimi. This has to be a show of force for Loud. I think that is really what they're aiming to do here, whereas Crew, well, they're trying to win this.
Interesting choice on the composition there. Sometimes they would flex around the role with Davies onto Flash Initiator, but here it was just that Harbor. So Ashidi is going to be 1-for-1 into that one. We'll get this mirror matchup. This is going to be difficult for Crew. You're playing against an opponent that created this comp and has continued to innovate it.
And your sub is playing the hardest role in the comp, in my opinion, this Harbor. So much of it is how much value you can get out of those high tides.
Yeah.
Are you using them on refresh? How are you using the Reckoning? The util is so important for Harbor.
If I was Ashidi, I would have been watching 2E's VODs going into this one. He has a big task on the Harbor.
Let's send it over to your casters for this one. It's two dads that read the Twitch chat, by the way, so keep it clean unless everyone's already dead from cringe. Here's Doug and Bala.
Chat's gone already.
Thank you so much, Golden Boy. Ball, two teams with palindroming records in a sense, a 5-0 against an 0-5, and expectations entirely different. Stories up until this point entirely different. I mean, this doesn't feel like it is very promising for Crew at all.
No, but I mean, the legacy that they're trying to uphold is actually super important for the organization. So, I mean, it has to be a win for them if they want to keep playoff chances alive, if they want even a sliver of a chance to continue to be the only team who's made it to any or all the international events.
Well, again, another opportunity to do it here. Haven't won a series since December of last year. So they're going to get another shot at doing this again, but against the best that Americas has to offer, until what many consider the best the world has to offer.
And look at this. They are going for something cheeky off the rip. Kesnet's going to tuck deep into the cubby and Loud. Oh, I mean, but there's two sheriffs actually bought up here, and they just did massive work.
Nailed them.
And I mean, Melzer as well put the wall up to defend himself, but leaves his teammate out to dry. Talk about a start to a map.
Hey, great start for Loud. And an attempt was made by Crew. I do like the fact that they tried something different, right? They tried doing something cheeky, I believe was the word used to describe it, but unfortunately a bit too much. Loud have gotten the kills that they want. They've gotten the guns that they want. I believe they upgraded one sheriff, if I'm not mistaken, and now they're going to rotate away.
And these are the moments that I think Crew need to be able to capitalize on, where there's a decision to be made by Loud, and they can't allow them to just make the simple one, right? They got 3 kills on B. They realized there was a stack. They realized, okay, the team is going to continue to rotate over there. And they're just going to force this 4v1 on the site here against Nags. Melzer's barely here.
Bomb grenade out. Last player standing.
Nags trying to get a kill into Aspas from the furthest fringe possible. not
30
able to do
seconds
so once
left.
again against the Sheriff. Now Meltzer's left in this 1v4. He's got a frenzy.
Planted.
How
Got
did
a
he
little
get here?
space. He's got the element of surprise too, but it's not kept up for very long.
I mean, he was in between everybody there,
Yeah.
too. And to go back to what you're saying about, I mean, they haven't won a series since December, and against VCT teams, it's 8 losses in a row. It's not just the 0-5 that you see them on the scoreboard right or on the standings right now. It's a lot worse than that of a picture. And now dealing with as well a 6-man subbing in. Davies, the Colombian for this team, is out because of tendonitis in his elbow. So big shoes to fill, and against the best team in the league.
In a role that's not easy. That's not like a plug and play role. The Harbor to execute well can be really difficult. So we'll see what he's able to do. Again, the first round went in favor of Loud off of 2 explosive openers with the Sheriff. Now they've got a couple of Spectres to work with as well, and a Bulldog. A little bit of spam, causing some damage on the Kawanzin. But that's all for now. They've taken so much space down Belong. They have 4 pushing down that way.
Yeah, I mean, but Loud right now, they're recognizing it's the same thing that happened on Pistol. So look at Les, he's already watching here, and he's not even worried about the double doors flank.
And this is honestly very similar to what they do on other maps as well. We've seen a very similar approach on the defensive side from Crew on Ascent, for example, where they send multiple down a flank, and this time Loud was just ahead of it. They were ready for it, and they just cleaned it up.
Look at that unity for Loud. Peeking back through double doors, or through Art as well. Kawanzin just in time to save Les from the oncoming players through shop.
And this looks like it's going to be an optimal round for them as well. I don't remember the L.
Yeah,
What'd
I don't
she say,
remember
the L?
that. I don't remember any of the other poems. We can make our own throughout the series. I mean,
Okay, Sky.
Les
Get us
just
to a
looks
good
crispy. I
position,
mean, the
then I'll
Sheriff's,
knock it
I think
down.
every single shot from the Sheriff has hit, has rang true. And it's also nice to see Loud again. They're the only player who's isolated, the only player who's alone on the map is not carrying a rifle or even a Spectre. Very few chances even given to Crew.
It's just so logical, right? So intelligent, so well played.
Anti-bonus now. Loud back to the regular mid-control again. The fathers of this comp, the fathers of the idea to even throw this type of wall. And you can see Crew doing what Leviathan like to do, which is this little gap in towards B that does cover Art as well.
The thing is, they didn't, and I think it was because of Asheti's wall, they weren't able to scale up far enough to clear the alarm, but that's in Link right now.
This position that Les has gotten to, I mean, holy. It's going to be able to lurk all the way back all. Kesnet's just dead.
There's no way he knows. Nope. No way at all. Asheti's feeling some of the wrath as well.
That is beautiful. And I think also recognizing that that alarm bot was in mid, they actually could have broken it, but they chose not to. Recognizing that that's not going to be over towards B. Yes, there could have been a turret, but they also probably spotted that as well. That mid control goes deep, and now Les is already hunting. I mean, he was definitely up there in bank.
Yeah. Seemed like Loud wanted to go hunting. Loud wanted to go deep into their spawn, and the 3 remaining members of Crew. Looks like they are going to be able to keep the rifles in tow. Forgot about the corner of that wall there. And carry those rifles in the next round. But this is another round won by Loud. Economy should be really nice for them here moving forward.
Kawanzin wants it too. He's alone, so not going to go too far. And I do have to say there, I mean, Kesnet probably expecting Asheti, the substitution, to be able to spot somebody walking out like that. But I think there's no blame to even be thrown there towards Asheti. I think that wall was just perfectly timed for Les. The way that he's able to get up all the way next to that screen is just beautiful. And things off to a little bit of a lackluster start from Crew, really. I mean, 2 kills on the board. And they have to deal with Loud now, starting to get some ult economy up for Les.
Oh, and a dink onto Asheti already. it's not the start you imagined when you found out you'd be starting for Crew. 0-3 so far, already having to get healed up with no armor, while the rest of Loud are threatening to barricade their way onto A. 2E's the first to fall, though. Well done by Kesnet. Remember, that's a rifle that they carried from the previous round.
Scout destroyed.
And reclearing Art too, but once again less. He actually gets taken out. There we go.
That was a bold repeat by Ashedi, too. Not just to take the duel the first time, but to choose to willingly, by his own volition, refight.
I mean, it's a risk that kind of has to be taken in that sense.
Yeah.
Unless if he gets that position, they all of a sudden have the pinch through Art. Melzer would have been in trouble, and they can execute on A now. Loud actually in a 3v5 situation. Remember, it started with the dink.
And it may end with the 2K here. Or it may end with an S-Best kill.
I mean, when they went for the 13-0 against
30 seconds left.
EG last week on this map, it was stuff like that that was happening over and over and over.
Yeah.
Just magic from the Loud players. Aspas off-center plant behind that box in his smoke, avoiding the spam from Kesnet there. And it's down to a 3v3.
Yeah. Off of a 5v3, and Loud doesn't have a ton of utility, but they... Yikes.
Oh, boy.
It's a 3v5 converted to a 4-round lead for Loud.
And look how the difference
Let me know if you need healing.
and how this map plays when you go through B-Link versus where you go through B-Long. You just have so much more control of the site. And the retake gets even harder. I mean, there's multiple stages that you then need to overcome. You can't just go for the regular B-Long wall outside of from B-Link. It's
Here.
really tough, but thankfully that save allows a buy here. Allows a little bit of a force from Crew.
Right there.
Still no op for Kesnet though. And I think he needs to get that going sooner rather than later. Oh, he's going past this wall. I've never seen that from a Jet player. Very nice attempt. There's a gap there too, and Kesnet did abuse this in past games.
As soon as the Reckoning's invested, you see the defensive walls trying to go up from Crew to provide some cover, but Aspas getting high ground and a kill. Reckoning still ticking away. Klaus tucking behind.
Nice molly on him.
Some utility. Oh, the Cove just saved his life.
They have control of this, Crew does. Had that backhaul peek, and yeah, there we go. Klaus coming out from the screen. That's spammable, and you also have the flank now from Melzer.
Nice.
Very doable.
Catch. Oh, I mean, that certainly would have helped things for sure.
Kills just escaping them.
Loud don't have the spike currently,
Enemy remaining.
but Crew have a round. It was really off of that, what, that 2K with the Bulldog from Hell?
From Klaus. That was quite well handled, I think, actually. I mean, after losing Aspas, who went for that updraft on that box, they're able to keep them behind the screen, behind the Viper wall that they had. With Melzer flanking, remember.
I would agree, too, because you look at it on a minimap, and Loud had, what, 4 members on site. It looked really claustrophobic. It looked really clouded, and it didn't look like Crew was going to be able to handle it. But, I mean, you mentioned it. It seemed like they still had control, and then that 2K from Klaus won him the round. You got Crew with a couple of ults of their own here. One of them has already fallen, but they still have the Seekers for Klaus.
It's a big trade. There's not 2 rounds in a row where Crew are getting advantage really early in these rounds.
Toxin screen down.
3 rounds, but they lost.
And I like the adaptation, too. They swapped the KJ over.
This wasn't as bad as a 3v5, but Crew did have numbers advantage here. Now equalized. Seekers dropped, and Les gets caught slipping.
I mean, that's what I'm referring to when I say the adaptation. They swapped the KJ over, and Les, all of a sudden, you could tell it's an idea for him to try to get past with his screen. And now Melzer's in a great position again. They've got the pinch on main.
Scout destroyed. Spike planted.
Can't go too fast, though. Can't get ahead of his team, and he actually does give up the advantage because of it.
He's patient on the Cove still up. Now spam down as Klaus trades with a bit of his own. Melzer ahead of it.
One enemy
Aspas in the 1v1 against Nags. He has blades, light armor, and time on his side, but clean shots from Nags to get Crew the second.
That massive trade in mid forces Loud actually to go a little bit faster than you expect there. I think losing Harbor in that instance, and then also losing less. Down belong. I mean, a good attempt by the 2 players remaining on Loud. But wow. KRU, after a really rough start, losing the bonus. Getting back into this, they really are. This is that defensive side.
Alarm bot out. Keep up.
And while the shots did not look clean in the very first couple of rounds, they're definitely coming online now.
Has it with blades, and it's aggressive, both of them, but Aspas wins it out. He's gotten 2 on the round, and he's looking for more. Melser on the other side, and Ashedi close by as well.
Way to get out there, too. They bait out the reactive Viper ult, and they're just gone. So hard to hold this if you're Nags.
I mean, he's got a Cascade he has to deal with, a Trailblazer in his face, and Molly's in his lap, but Ashedi here helps. Gets one with the Bulldog.
They've got 2 mollies, too, but this pit is weird. They have just unconventional holds so far on these post plants. Reckoning's not even going to go towards the pit. So they're able to hold from here, but they're also dealing with a really small choke here, Loud. This is a tough post plant.
Kawanzin's playing a little bit further back, but they're still tucked. They're still concealed by the pit. As the spike ticks away, KRU are going to have to be pacey about this one. They're going to have to go. They're going to have to brave the pit, or at least attempt to. Ashedi left alone here.
I mean, this is
decayed
brutal.
and dead.
Absolutely brutal. A little innovative mix-up in the very late round with that Viper's Pit that gives them so much space to hold the flank through B-Link and also hold the plant, too.
Yeah.
Pretty devastating to deal with. A Loud that continues to innovate. A Loud that continues to get creative. On a map that, actually, they did stumble recently. Yes, they might be the fathers of the comp and the teachers for many on this map, but they stumbled last week against Sentinels and the new Marved on that team. And I think one thing that KRU is not going to be able to rely on these next few, actually maybe the rest of this defensive side, is those brawls in mid. That's a dangerous game to be playing against Loud.
But that also just does feel like a success point, perhaps a key to victory. But you're right, if that's your key to victory and you're doing it against Loud, that just doesn't feel good.
Ooh, that flash is really deep. Get some info, but
Poison's gone.
does not spot how far out these Loud players are.
Aspas undetected, able to apply pressure elsewhere. Klaus back sight, the Singer's not going to do anything.
I love that hit from Loud. I know it's an anti-eco, but throwing out the high tide, that thing lasts a long time. And then walking past, it's reminiscent of old Optic and some of their contact plays where they put down smokes and just continue to contact and give a false sense that they're not hitting the site. A lot of times you rely on, when you're playing defense, the noise to determine whether they're actually hitting, whether they're actually committing to the site. And implicitly, that same thing can give you false information when a team has this in their arsenal. This is really nice.
Remaining members of KRU just going to die harmlessly to the spike.
Important there. 2 people, 1 off ult, Sadak and Kawanzin. I mean, if they both get kills there, you can see a different story in this next round, which is critical. It's a swing round.
And it's a timeout for KRU. Find themselves down 4 rounds, and we've already seen a lot of versatility and a lot of uniqueness in how Loud have wanted to approach this. All right, you even go back to their ability to contact through their own utility in the previous round and just get a free kill into Art. It's been very clinical.
First chances for the coaches to talk. This is Fraud on the side of Loud, who has honestly turned into one of the best coaches. You expected it given his pedigree, but one of the best coaches in the world. And Adam as well on KRU's side. I think one of the important things here for Loud to keep in mind is, yes, they're undefeated, but that battle for first seed is not over. They cannot let their foot off the gas when Cloud9 is only 1 loss as well. If they lose a single game, all of a sudden, yes, they have the head-to-head there. But all of a sudden, that gets a little bit more interesting. in the weeks to come.
Off this timeout, we'll see what crew decide to do. Again, down 4 rounds. Nag says his ult. You've got Kesnet with the op. Light armor 2.
I expect some orb control here from Loud with 2 players close to the ult. There's no reason not to go for one. And I'm shocked that crew is actually not playing to counter the orb out aloud. Look at, I mean, you can see the insistence here. Insta Trailblazer. That's just to get the space here for one of Tui's, or sorry, Sadak or Kawanzin to grab it, and it will be Sadak.
Prize possession acquired for Loud.
Toxins going
And again
up.
for
You
crew
should
out of
run.
this timeout.
This cannot pull everybody off.
And just responded with one of their own. Nags using theirs. Now they've put the Reckoning out from 2East to get up into Art.
They just broke it. I mean, that's just so free. And they have the high tide out now, too. This is, I mean, really nice to clear back through Art. And also able to counter in the middle of their own strats. Able to counter the ult that's placed out from crew. That's some beautiful counter work.
It's intended to be a threat, and it just ends up being nothing more than a whimper. It's just so easy and so effortless to scale up and clear that out. Maybe Ashhead can do something about this, though. He's gotten the first kill on Kawanzin. He gets the second on.
Whoa!
This kid's good. This kid's real good.
What a shift from beautiful to disastrous. Out aloud. That's something that when you go for these like complicated multi-step strats, sometimes you start to fall apart when you don't consider the rest of the protocol. How do you follow up? How do you get back into good post-plant positions?
Hang it up, buddy.
And it's risky to go for a lot of art play here.
Enemy remaining.
And it's definitely desync there from a couple of their players, so it looks disastrous. Looks like things fell apart. Looks like they didn't really have a plan, but no, actually, it's just one little mistake on the timing, one little mistake on the positioning, and all of a sudden you can't get there in time for your teammate.
Opposite on the hands of Kesnet, this time with full armor. Ult for Kawanzin. I wonder if they'll try to play around this Seekers to try to exec fast onto a site. They haven't really explored the middle of the map from the middle of the map for a while.
I mean, this insistence on hitting this A site right now feels like they're scrimming, feels like they're going through the strap book.
Yeah,
Pretty wild.
refining the little things. I don't know how anyone sees anything on this site. I mean, you've got a Viper's Wall, you've got a Cascade, you've got a High Tide, you've got a Cove. Vision blockers aplenty, and Spike planted. They're gonna be able to funnel out here, but again, no key ults for crew to work around.
Look at this. They go back for the same post plant to refine what you just said. And it's falling down again.
This time, no heroics from Ashhead and Art, but he is still healthy, he is still alive, and he is still a problem. 1 for 1. Last has gotten a little bit of room to work with. He's gonna have to 1v2 this. The Molly's gonna delay for just a moment. The Cove now cleared. And it's just buying time. Les has to win. He's out. He's got the first. Meltzer's weak. And he's dead. The clutch from Les. And the round for Loud.
Seven to 3. Starts to look and paint a picture. It's not perfect out of crew, but there's definitely some things to gain from this. I think for me, though, I'm looking at a lot that's definitely going through things where they're testing. They're trying to make sure, I mean, going right back into the exact same post plan and then proving that that actually works.
Yeah.
That actually works. Very cool. And the idea of running through the strats right now, I'm saying that because they've hit the A site 3 times in a row with a couple of different little variations and also working through the ults and opposite strats that crew are definitely going to be trying to countercall you with. So Loud just looking to get better and better. That's what Ospa said in the interview at the top of the day.
It's funny, they paid them a lot of respect in that interview, but given how they've approached the last couple of rounds, it doesn't seem to be the case. At least not in the server. More concerned with refining their play than what their opponents will do. Aspa's taking a little bit of damage here, has the blades online. And up. But it's gone back and forth here. Klaus getting one with a frenzy. Meltzer still has a pistol.
Ooh, shorty up close, this is beautiful.
One enemy remaining.
That was the pistol. Now the shorty. that you mentioned, Kesnit, who's real good with the Guardian. Both the flash in your face, what can you do? Not much. And out of the timeout, we haven't really seen much more success out from KRU. 8-3 now in favor of Loud.
Last round.
You have plenty of ideas coming into this, but they're so much easier contemplated than they are completed.
Yeah, look at that flash from Klaus, actually. Up on top, that is really, really nice to catch the players down below, but Loud was so far ahead of it. And that's what falls apart with that setup this time. That was the same setup that Klaus got success with Kesnit and backhaul. And Loud fumbled against it last time. This time, very happy to continue to take those fights. Aspas not going as aggressive. He did have that op in the last one. And look at this, though. Aspas sticking with the Phantom, knowing that he's going to be a guy who's pivotal to dash in on the site. Not using that op like last round, and he did have the knives last round to supplement. Which is funny, because a lot of other teams, when they have knives, they'll drop the op to somebody else. In this case, Aspas does the opposite.
And it's already an opener. A little spam, but Kesnit was actually far off. Well played. He slipped the net. They had no idea where he was. That's finding value at the op of his own. Numbers once again in favor of Loud.
Those peaks right there are so much easier to hit when you're opping. And you don't need the movement. You could be in plenty of safe angles there if you're less.
I suggest you move.
Tui's just grabbed that orb to get the Reckoning online. Instantly uses it. Last round of the half, and it's going to be traded with one of KRU's. They're attempting to cause chaos on the side off of the Reckoning. The pulses that are intended to cause some problems, but there's no follow-up behind it. They waited out. Now they're going to have to deal with the pit as well.
This pit is so ridiculously hard to find the kill on the less because he could place it from belong.
It's just tucked around the corner. I mean, you see it on the map. He's safe here.
Oh, hello.
The only way he gets threatened is if they lose backside, and they have. But how much more value can they find? They're pushing right into him. That's the pit. That's the round.
Blocking fire.
Heroics from Machete.
KRU have made this possible now in this first half. Felt like it would have been a dominant win for Loud, but there's still chances here for KRU.
Take a look at it one more time. Kesnit with a great opener with that op, and again, you could see it prior to that. They were spamming back box. They thought that's where Kesnit was, but he had gotten away from it at just the right time, and Ashetti's play here was gorgeous, Paula.
There's gaps for some of these setups for Loud. Falls apart in the post plant a few times, but overall still clean. 8-4 is the half.
8-4 is the half. Sean is standing by with the round to break down at the telestrator. Sean, take it away.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Doug. So what I want to talk about is how Loud changed their play style here against KRU. I mentioned it in the opening desk, just how they can change up and play very loose. So what I want to pay attention to at the start of this bonus round, actually, is the fake that's going on over here at long by Les, the spam over here from Kesnit, and the sub in Shetty. And you can see the real focal point here is going to be in middle. That's where 4 players from Loud are, and you're gonna see why in a second. So right now, the 4 players are approaching mid, and as they come up to the door, you see the harbor wall comes through, and what that's doing to KRU, that's making them all rotate. There's so many unknowns right now for KRU, and they're rotating towards the middle of the map. Now, this is all just a massive ruse because you're noticing Les over here at B is lurking up behind his Viper wall, which is what we're currently witnessing on the screen. The 2 players at B have fallen back. They've receded into the site because of this link pressure that opens things up for Les. He's waiting for the toxins to recharge. You can see them down here. And when they get at about 60%, he goes ahead and activates it again, and that's gonna open up a window for him to slip to backhaul. And you can see he's visualizing this whole round. He knows the harbor's in link, and the second he gets the kill onto Kesnit, he swings, gets the second kill, and just like that, the round is already over. The spike is going down, the nanos are on the spike, the alarm bot's on the spike, and KRU is massively out of position. It's plays like this that make Loud such a dynamic team. And I'm curious to see, are they gonna continue the scrappy style going into the defensive half? Anyway, back to you guys, Doug and Bala.
Yeah, those types of things definitely can't happen on the bonus. Sean going for the really nice breakdown on Les's play. And we mentioned a lot how Pearl is B-long focused. That type of gap being found is the exact thing that will lose you tons of attack side rounds. But the funny part is Loud didn't really go too deep into that B side. They weren't really going into what has become prevalent for the rest of the league in the meta for this map. A lot more focus on that mid control, and you see why. Able to pull players off and find some value for them. Now the pistol though.
Ooh, Kesmit's here to receive. He instantly gets flashed off. He's by himself too, but he wants to re-peek into this. Well positioned by Loud.
It's an interesting choice to buy a Sheriff here too. Not able to get a smoke, so he can't smoke dash.
Yeah, Aspas did it too.
It's a lot easier on this defense though.
Oh, he's patient. My goodness, is he patient. Interesting that he doesn't proc the dash to try to get away here, but either way, he falls to spam out from 2Es.
He probably gets chased down there anyways.
Either way, KRU has numbers advantage and the spike planted.
Spike planted.
Seems like Kawanzinya is going to try to rotate to help out 2Es. Backside, and that's where the vast majority of KRU's strength is. Foul spotted. Or excuse me, Kesmit spotted. They haven't really scaled. They haven't chosen to threaten. Are they going to try to take this fight? They're patient about it. They're taking their dear sweet time.
Not yet.
They burned the clock down perhaps a bit too far, yeah. It's a flawless round for KRU.
Really nice. I mean, canceling Aspas immediately in A main. And the funny part too is Aspas actually was supported by a lot of teammates. But because Kesnet is able to actually explore alone on the default, he recognizes there was a hit. He recognized that there could have been a setup for Aspas. And he brings the rest of his teammates over. That's massive. On the attack here for KRU, this is definitely a boon for them, winning that pistol.
It'll certainly help the comeback attempt. 3 rounds now separating the two teams. And KRU want to go fast, and they're making no intentions of concealing their intentions.
Wall up. And it's actually being able to pull over the rotate from Loud.
Ah, turret down.
See if Nags over there can actually spot that there's rotations. I don't think he can hear less at that point. So it's not calling the rotate back from KRU. This is dangerous stuff. Aspas has a shorty backhaul too. You've got to be careful here, KRU.
Still time to pivot if you choose to. But no, they are going to stay. Aspas waiting just on the other side of the wall. Gas should be running out very shortly.
Here's that meta. Here's the idea. Over and over, just play post plant belong, and against the pistols, it's very, very easy to do. Should easily be dealt with now.
Should.
Keyword.
Should.
Keyword.
Right. Kawanzin's weak. He should die soon. Yeah.
Yeah. That wall, I mean, running out of fuel, it's impossible at that point.
Yeah. That's a brutal spot to be in. Very clean by KRU. Very clean.
Great choice there. Great discipline not to push in the backhaul. With the wall that they have, they don't need to on that anti-eco. Although some teams like Cloud9 have opted to flood, flash, and dive with their defensive wall. The part here that wasn't available for Loud, though, is that defensive wall was used to actually rotate over and start the stack in the first place. Let's see if KRU can do what Loud did in that first half and convert the bonus here. And Loud have intentions of disrupting it straight away, down B long.
Deep flash, and I can't tell if it caught Melser or not. But he's playing safe either way. They leave Aspas in the spot, rotate back. And the trap has been sprung.
Poison's off.
This can get dangerous here. Depending on the pivot, both sides. Aspas can explore against Melzer, and he's happy to take that. He's even happy to stay for more, which is a little bit bold from Aspas, given that there could be players following up, and he's going to take the space and actually get rid of a disadvantage that you have when you push B long, which is the speed of your rotate.
Poison orb emitting.
Be a flash here for Les to peek, but he pops it early.
Poison's off.
High tide comes in from Tuiz though.
Right there.
Down in B link. It's beautiful stuff. And look how much more flush that is than the rest of the harbors that you're seeing.
Clear.
That flash is going to get some
Poison
info.
orb.
Just waiting on the other side of that wall. Now starting to work their way up through art. They have a little bit of help from Nags, who's coming in through main.
Good flash.
Very good flash and better shots from Kesnet.
What? That's through the Viper wall. Or the Harbor wall, excuse me. Zine just got a spam on 2.
Now Aspas, excuse me, who opened the round with the pick, is rotating through. And they've got him trapped in.
Yo. This guy is a new demon.
Dude, Nax doesn't even have the spike.
Aspas also reclearing A main. They know where he ran. Not going to chase him down. I mean, that's unlucky for KRU. Zine just spams them through the Harbor wall.
I can hold an area pretty well myself. Make sure to cover the angles.
What
I
an
can't.
absolute gem that Loud have picked up. So often, just dominating. Some of the best teams we have in LA and the world too. Remember, this is the team that did get the runner-up at lock-in. Attempted that reverse sweep at Fnatic. This is the team that still has only lost to 3 teams ever.
That is crazy to think about.
KRU is one of those teams, which is wild.
Even crazier to think about.
A team that is 0-5 in this league. Different roster for Loud, but you can see, I think it's without a doubt now, as the game has developed, Loud, with this new roster, look better than the iteration with Sasi and Pancata.
Yeah, I would agree with that entirely. It's so much explosive potential out of these 2 new additions.
Wow, flashing through, dropping the wall.
Very well done.
Beautiful stuff.
I mean, and honestly, that was well played by KRU. They were all tucked behind the pillar, so there was no flash, right? They didn't
hit anybody.
Blinded, and there was no info gathered, but
Yeah.
it's still just better from Loud.
I mean, look, they set up a firing squad. It was literally 3 players, all of their guns out, wall drops, and it comes at such an unexpected time, especially given the fact that in prior rounds, remember, Loud used the full fuel to be able to rotate, to be able to make a different play. And now the round's wrapped up. They got the high tide deep by Tui's. They got an alarm bot behind it.
30
Axe has no chance. So he's gonna go all the way towards the A side and save. Loud continue to just show so many different little tactics. It's so interesting too, because for me, when I'm thinking of their chances to take down another title, to go on to Tokyo, to go on to Champions, whether or not they make it there, it's still up in, it's not necessarily a guarantee, but looks like an easy path for them.
Should be.
I expected them to, you know, not show as much. I expected them to not put as many maps out into the world as they have so far. Even though it's a 5-0 start, they have lost quite a few. I mean, almost every series
They've lost
has
at
been
least one.
1 map loss, except against Furia.
Yep. Yeah, 10-3 in or 10-4, or 11-4. Either way, they haven't lost very much on maps. But you know, it's interesting that you mentioned that around how much they're showing, because I kind of expected them to try to flex a couple of different maps in this series. I thought we may see a bind. I thought we may see a fracture. I know it's been their perma, but they just stick to what they know, to what they have shown so far, and they're just iterating on that, which is equally as impressive.
Yeah, but the great part about that is it actually allows for some of that uncertainty in how good they are on those maps. So when I talk about hiding strats on like Pearl or something like that, not showing your new stuff,
Poison orb emitting.
they actually do have that capability on Fracture, on Bind. And we know that they can play Fracture. We saw it at lock-in. So I think it's a very good, interesting conversation about the map pool and what they've shown so far here in Americas. But Fraud has talked so often about he wants this team to have a 7-map pool. We saw it at lock-in, and it has given them such a strong advantage against everybody.
Trailblazer goes flying by, not connecting on anything, but they're still able to keep some mid presence, which it looks like KRU want to do, or at least grab the warp, potentially pivot back. Just one rifle in the hands of the attacking side for Nags. Kesna with the dash, instantly flash, still goes into his cloudburst and looking for space, down to 50 HP already. they're going to invest the seekers on this as well. That's a big opener. Again, that's the only rifle that they have.
Spike planted.
Here comes the retake. Tui's already retaken Secret, and the flank fails. Fortunately for Sadak.
Here.
They've got a 3-point on this one.
Yeah, Ash said he's gone exploring, though.
Here.
He may try to re-hit Art on a late flank.
And that high tide blocks 2 players out. The alarm bot is up too.
Yeah, he's going to be spotted. He's going to be spotted before he has a chance to make a play.
Oh, God.
His position's betrayed here. They should know where he is.
Yeah, he's shootable from
Player
Art.
standing.
How's he getting away with that? How does he get 2 there? In the chaos of the round, Crew walk away with 1.
That's a thrifty. That is ridiculous. The plant was really good from them. They allowed that flank to come really late on Art. And Sadak is actually the guy to fall. So that alarm bot dealt with so easily. The Cove goes down and Tui's is in the open defusing. Surprising to see him stick at that in the entire way anyways. I wonder if the time is a factor. I wasn't fully paying attention because I thought that was locked up, honestly.
I imagine comms were chaotic in that. Either way, Crew still 1 away. Loud still with the 3-round lead. Tui's already getting pushed.
This is an interesting choice here for Ospas. He has knives, but he buys an op and doesn't drop. One of his 2 teammates who does not have a full rifle here.
Healing over here.
And I think it's a good choice in this case because Pearl is so prone to pushing you back and saving. So you can have that carried forward. And it also allows a nice little stack. He's up on top of map all the way back at B and just denying any flank push from Melzer. So they're allowed to stack this A site. But they've got the Reckoning, they've got the lockdown too, so there's keys to take.
I suggest you move.
Merely a suggestion,
What is
but
that, Molly?
holy smokes.
That was so sick from Sadak, literally on top of where Kesnet was gonna land.
The Reckoning still going off. Sadak has to take a small step back. Ashedi getting the plant down.
Spike planted.
And more info gathered. It seems like Loud want to reposition and reconsider how they want to go about this retake. And they're certainly going to have to now that there's a lockdown that they're going to have to face.
Oh.
I thought he was dead, man. I thought he had him.
They have room to come back into this very fast with the secret flank. But that's beautiful from Exedi.
That's beautiful from KRU. Some opportunities, but
You have to get out here. There's too much post. Too many positions to consider. They're going for it, though.
They're just limit testing everything?
Go either way.
Almost no time anymore. No time anymore. And he doesn't keep the op, so I mean, that decision, I start to scratch my head about that. Because you actually, if Tui's had a rifle there instead of a stinger, all of a sudden, he's able to get that kill.
Yeah.
I love that from Sadak, though. That molly is so nice to just cancel Kesnet and his dash. Something this Brazilian team definitely trying to do. Given, I mean, KRU and Kesnet's history against them. I would love to see, like, attacking Jet's performance against Loud's defense and compare that to every other team. How much of a difference it makes.
Yeah.
Because stuff like that, it's not what people are doing too often. I mean, people are still in the idea that, yeah, we'll jump in the smoke, maybe with a shorty, something like that, or just spam exactly where he's going to land in the dash if he does it perfectly. But there, that's just a full counter. And we've seen some teams like NRG experiment with like a molly up top to catch players updraft dashing into positions that you definitely don't want them to get into. But that one's nice. That's dynamic, man. Love it.
Even with that cool wrinkle, Loud lose the round, and off of that, timeout is called. So still hanging on to a 2-round lead, but Crowd have shown a little, KRU, excuse me, have shown a little gusto, a little fight into this one.
Yeah, definitely. Especially with that start, remember, it definitely felt a little cold for KRU. But this is, I mean, a really nice foot forward. Putting up 8 rounds against Loud already and still having a chance to do more. Remember, they're on the attacking side. This is favored towards them.
Turret out.
Can you imagine?
No, not yet. Not yet.
I mean, it's only 2 rounds. I have to. Can you imagine? Crew taking Pearl here against Loud.
And then going on to Ascend. That would be huge.
Which is the only map that they've won so far in the league.
Got an opportunity here to go into your strengths, and Kesnet, who continues to be a strength for this squad, is already taking backside, but with the flash in his face, he still gets both. Walking through the vulnerability, walking straight into their deaths are allowed, and yes, this was just pistols for him, but you want it to be clean anyway, and for Crew it was.
And we're now down to 1. I mentioned Ascent is the only map they've won. Crew have so far this season. And we're getting towards the tail end of this game. Could they add 1 more map to that tally? It's not like they've gone completely mapless, you know? They've won 3 times on Ascent, and you said it's their strength, and obviously it's the only map they've won, so you have to consider it that, but it's still 3-2. It's not like it's an 80% win rate like Leviathan or some other teams have on their good maps.
Yeah. It's still not great. Sadak flash with a little spam. It seems like Crew on NB again. KJ Util here though, and you can see the setup is almost intended for Kesnet. Look at how far back it is. It's not getting info early, but he dashed around it. He changed his pathing, and he got backside.
Really nice stuff. He's able to clear the nano swarms on the backside too. So Sadak doesn't have that tool. They're getting through a Viper ult with the Reckoning, but Tui's just dominates, or gets dominated.
Kesnet with 3 on the round already.
And he's feeling it right now. He's just continuing to fight outside the pit.
Yes, he is. Sadak perched up top.
They're gonna save. I like that from Sadak, spamming from the highs. Makes it really difficult when you're playing with the Phantom to actually spot where he's coming from.
I mean, you just have no idea, and you're just getting peppered from everywhere.
Yep.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
This double controller meta is a big reason why Phantom has really come back into the forefront for a majority of teams, not just the Americas teams as well. In the past, it was like the North American teams and like DRX and Pacific, and everybody else was using Vandal. We're tied up, guys. We are tied up on this first map. How in the world does this happen?
Crew winless on this map, but the maps have both been close. They've only played it 2 times, 11-13 loss to EG and then a 12-14 loss to MIBR. So it's not like they get stomped every time they come here. This has always been competitive for them.
Yeah, I think back to that MIBR game though, and I think there was slop all over the place. This time it's short. Very, very nice. But you're right, I mean, the 2 games being close speaks that they can hang. Aspas, see if he can deny them.
This is so bold.
Bro! Excuse me! What is that? Sit down, Kesnet.
And he's been such a key part of their success in these last few rounds. Now forced to sit back and wait.
It's so ridiculous that he goes for that time and time again.
That feels like he's getting a little.
Bro, it works for him. I want to see it every time. It's just so flashy. That's one of the things in Aspas's games. Normally he's just this guy that gets 30 kills every game type thing. You're like, oh my goodness, he's just a beast. But that's the element that I'm like, yeah, this guy has style.
He's fun to watch.
On stage.
Yeah, he's fun to watch. Stuff like that cost him his life though.
Finished.
Cost him the op. And yeah, it was a light buy for him. It was just pistols the rest of the way for Loud, but it also cost them the lead.
Yeah, definitely, potentially. I mean, if he backs up there, plays the angle a little bit better. And I'm not even worried here if I lose a couple weapons. If I'm Crew, might be more than a couple. That is a lot. But still not too worried. I mean, they have a decent bank for what will be the last 3 rounds of regulation. And they might not even need that. Plus, they have Kesnet's knives. This is a ridiculous shot. I don't even know how you hit that. But okay. Second time out for Loud. They haven't had to really stress until that last time out that they called, and now you're calling for a massive change on how we're approaching this defense side if you're fraud.
5 rounds in a row for Crew. Money's still very much okay as we near the end of this map. And a lot of questions to be answered for the defensive side.
And you're actually thinking right now, at least I am, the insistence on going for the full armor strat, or full armor decision, I guess, from Loud. I mean, both these teams are running it, whereas almost the rest of the world is going for light armor in most of these cases, diminishes the staying power from Loud. And you are going to face, if you lose a single one of these next few, you're going to face a situation, even if you win, where you're going to have broken buys.
Yeah.
And I did ask Fraud about that, and he said we have plenty of stinger rounds that we're comfortable with. And we've seen that in the past.
We may have to see it here.
Vandals on the board. Full armor now.
A lot of really nice ults here for Loud, too, to potentially secure the shot and tie us up at 11 apiece. But it's going to take more than just that. Because, again, momentum all the way in favor of KRU here. A little bit of spam, back screens, nothing found. Ladder playing everyone close. Everyone close. Now in the face of the Secrets, they scatter. They have to back up. They have to give space away. And Aspas is challenged.
Traded back, though, and they're pushing Spawn to get away from this lockdown. This is beautiful from KRU. Putting their best foot forward, but they will give up less. Actually, he's all the way in Spawn.
I don't think they know. Because why would you be expecting that at this point? But it seems like Cousin
The reload gives it up now.
He's so weak. No health.
Shield going out.
Now Ashedi having to deal with pressure from Kawanzin, from Les. And,
All
right. He's going aggressive too. Tried making a play.
There's still time, but it's really, really low.
Yeah, whittling down to a 2v2 here. I don't believe there are any nanos on the site, so it's just going to have to be spam. No mollies, nothing else. Meanwhile,
They didn't get half.
Les is dumping a molly of his own backside. He's got it down to 1v1, 61 HP. The spam
Just no
is
time.
good, but there is no time. You're absolutely right.
Not fully trusting there, and
Match point.
this is it here. KRU on match point. KRU 1 round away from taking a map win on a map other than Ascent. On a map that Loud is so good at, but maybe we start to have to revisit it, even though we've seen some brilliance from them in this map alone. This defensive side is very rough. And KRU is taking full advantage of it. And here it is. Full force coming in on the last round. It must be done. But it's broken. Guardian, 2 Bulldogs. Dropping the orb here. They're going to challenge. That is not the way you wanted that to start.
No, not at all. It was
Tui's
bold.
alone. Struggling this game. Has to save it now.
Can they snatch this thing back? A Bulldog and a Guardian. Trying to provide some cover for the Vandal in the hands of Les. It's tucked around there. 2 behind them! The blades don't land. The blades don't land, and I thought there was going to be a pinch from Tui's, but there's not. KRU finds success on Pearl.
Their first map win outside of Ascent. And they will start with a lead against Loud. KRU is the only out of 3 teams, 1 of 3, to have taken down Loud in the past. I mean, it's ridiculous that Loud has upheld that standard. But right now, they go down again. I mean, over and over, Loud dropping a map. This time, twice in a row. Here on Pearl is not something you expected.
Unbelievable. We're going to step away, but next, GB and the analyst desk will break down map number 1.
What is this from EA? He is currently unstoppable.
true. He is just a consistent demon, El Diablo.
Hey guys, it's Ye. Welcome to my course on optimal VALORANT training. I'm going to be demonstrating now some angle clearing. I'll slowly come around the corner as well, making sure no one's on these off angles.
Don't stop me, 'cause I'm having a good time, having a good time. I'm a racing car, passing by like Lady Godiva. I'm gonna go, there's no stopping me. Stop me now, I'm having such a good time. I'm having a ball.
Red Bull gives you wings. Red Bull gives you wings.